All right, we are live for episode 75 of the On the Hump podcast. Hard to believe we are already up to 75 episodes. First and foremost, before we introduce the number one Lions fan who's got his own background, by the way, now. I'm not
No,
sure
no,
how you
it's
that.
copyright. It's copywritten.
But I do want to apologize. Usually I got the backdrop behind me, but I'm in a little bit of a transition here. But tonight we're going to try to have some fun. We're going to talk about preseason football. And before we do that, Bobby, how's it going, man?
It's going, man. It's just getting ready for football season. Kids going back to school. Uh, the weather getting a little chilly. The leaves acting like they want to turn colors and stuff. It's getting close to that time. Almost hoodie weather time, and this foot, as they say, football in the air, brother.
That's right. That's right. And it's funny because I know I was talking about this, and Bobby, I don't know if you would agree with me or not, but I was talking about this on my show the other day. I said, it's preseason football when you look at the scores of the games. That's how you can tell that it's not the starters out there playing the entire time, because there were some games this past weekend that were like 13-9, 13-6. I know Brenda probably doesn't want to talk about that 27-2 game where the Packers only put up 2 points, but it's like that's how it's the preseason. And so I get why some folks don't watch the preseason. They love their teams, but they just will not do it because sometimes it can be a little boring. And I know that you weren't particularly happy so far with the two preseason games the Lions have played. So for you who watches these preseason games, how do you get through it? And how do you feel now that there's only one more preseason game to get through?
Oh, your damn questions. Look, okay, so I actually didn't get the last game. I didn't get the chance to sit down in front of a TV and watch because I was actually working. So I had it in my. I had it on. I was listening to the radio. The Dan Miller, and he got every call live. So I didn't. So even though I wasn't watching, I didn't miss any plays, right? So if you get my drift, so I'm listening to them and stuff. So it's just flush. It's just frustrating where the most frustrating, much the most frustrating part of last game, Elijah, is hearing Pat Mahomes throwing behind the back passes to our against our backups and third strings. It's just
Right.
pissing me off, man. And yeah. So and like the fact that I was at work, I couldn't go full number one fan in the job, so I wasn't cussing and stuff. So I was eager to watch the replay because I recorded and watched it at home. So uh and it was a pleasant surprise, meaning because I was so pissed off at the end of halftime, I just cut my phone off, stopped listening to the game. So when I got home, I was pleasantly surprised that they won. So I was like, "Oh, let me see what happened." And they was moving the ball, and my guy kicked the field goal, so that was pretty cool. But as far as like Nate Sudfeld, he'll make me want to work on Sundays for real. He sucked,
So hey,
man. I'm sick of him.
we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that here in just a second.
Okay,
Because
I won't go off yet. Okay, I
well,
got
yeah. Hold on to it, my friend. Hold on to it. So,
you.
I do want to say a good evening to comedian Shay B, who is tuning in this evening. So, thank you for doing that. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the comments as they come in tonight. So, if y'all got things you want us to talk about, you got questions. I'm not saying we're going to have all the answers, but we'll be here for about an hour, and we'll try to get to everything that you guys want us to talk about as well. So as far as the Lions are concerned, Bobby, I'm not sure if you would agree with this, but to me, this preseason feels different. Like it feels different in the sense that while all these other teams are trying to figure out who their quarterback is, they're trying to figure out these different position battles. They're trying to get players into training camp who are holding out. It's like the Lions, we've had some injuries, okay? We've had some injury scares as well. but we don't have a lot of drama going on. And so that's part of the thing for us doing the podcast, that it's like, okay, we hop on and we're like, what are we going to talk about? Because we can only say great things about the team so much, before it's like, okay, is there any storyline to get to? And there are a couple that we will get to tonight. But Bobby, do you agree with that sentiment that it's like, okay, it's pretty much, it's all business with the Lions. There's no funny business going on at the moment.
I definitely agree, brother. But and it's a part of my process of even watching the game, because I have very, very high standards for this team now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's eating me to even hear the backups just not doing as well as I'm expecting, but I have to keep reminding myself that they are backups.
Right.
But as far as the drama, we took care of, like, uh, since we started this podcast and we were talking about Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, we always wanted to we always noticed that we have good players, but we wanted to know what we're going to do to make sure we keep those good players.
Right.
Uh, I actually satisfied with that part, so that makes all the drama. That takes away. That's most of the drama for me, is just having good players, and not one of our stars is on the on another team. We make sure we kept them here.
Yeah.
So 90% of the drama was purgatory years with quarterbacks, receivers, whatever. So we are able to concentrate on football, and I like that. But like I said, I do have a high standard, and I haven't been able to even apply them to what I've seen in the preseason, because it's mostly guys that's not going to be on the field. If we're if we're the team we want to be, we don't want them guys on the field. We got better alternatives for them.
Right.
But as I also know, being a Lions fan, the backups get in Detroit, so it's going to be interesting to see. I'm glad to see they're playing, and who the guy's going to be. But I'm more like for Hooker. You know what I mean? Just to actually see him get the field and move the offense and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I'm happy it's drama free football, but I ain't content because I got high standards for this team, man. I just don't even want to sound like I don't want to sound like the hard teacher, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
don't want to I don't want to be easily pleased either. So I'm
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
I'm in some kind of weird purgatory. I haven't seen nothing to cuss at the TV like I want to yet, though. You know, because I will cuss, but Nate Sudfeld has been taking care of that. But I'm just interested to see, like, these faces, like the secondary, even Arnold, just this new faces. We're winning, and the new jerseys are actually good to see. They're nice on camera
Yeah.
too. So
I, I
yeah,
I have to admit,
that was a big difference. So
I have to admit, I'm really liking the new jerseys. I've been, I haven't been watching as intently as I would like to. But when I have tuned in, I've really liked the way that they look. And it's interesting that you brought up, we want to retain our players because on my show up here in New York, I was talking about the New York Jets situation. And I know we don't usually talk about the Jets that much, but one of the things I was trying to talk to my listeners about was I was like, look, like it's all in how you judge a general manager. Like that's really like whether you're happy or not, how do you judge your general manager? Like in Detroit, we love Brad Holmes. He's been doing a great job. For the New York Jets, who play in New Jersey, they're not huge fans of Joe Douglas right now. And it really, when you look into the details, it makes sense why they wouldn't be. Because for me, I judge a general manager based on the word draw. Does your general manager have draw? And for me, what that stands for is, can they draft? Can they retain? Can they acquire? And can they win? That's how I judge a general manager. Do they have draw? And when you look at somebody like a Joe Douglas, okay, in comparison to a Brad Holmes, Joe Douglas, he can draft a little bit. He's pretty good about that. As far as the retain part of it, mm, not so sure on that one. The acquire part of it, like through free agency, Bobby, in the last 2 years, all their big signings aren't even on the team anymore for the New York Jets. That really shocked me because I'm like, what in the world's that? Like when you get somebody in free agency, you expect them to be around for a little bit. But as I was looking through the history, and I'm not going to bore everybody with all those details, but as I was looking through the history of the Jets, going back to 2019 when Joe Douglas became the GM, almost all of their free agent acquisitions are no longer on the team. And the two biggest trades that Joe Douglas has pulled off have played a combined total of 4 snaps for the New York Jets. Because you have Aaron Rodgers, and we all know what happened to him last year, and you got Hassan Reddick, which is a big trade, but they don't even have that guy on the field yet because of his contract issue. But again, my point of saying all this about the Jets is the fact that I look at that situation, and even though I was already very grateful for Brad Holmes, it makes you even more grateful when you look around the league and you see these situations that these other teams are in, and you go, you know what? Thank goodness we're not them. And what's crazy about that is, and Bobby, chime in here, we used to be the example of how bad things would happen. And we used to be the team that people would look at and say, at least we're not them, right?
Yeah, to be honest, it's all because of, to me, the biggest difference is our our front office and our coaching staff is connected as
Yeah.
almost one. The fact that from what I was reading, I might be mistaken, but I am like 100% sure. Well, 99.9% sure. Dan Campbell has final say on the roster spot, even though Brad Holmes is the GM.
Yeah.
So when we're making the pick, we have a guy that's going to be on the field, moving the chess pieces, literally in the decisions of making them, and
Yeah.
and that goes a long way. Um, Joe Douglas, I think he's more of by himself. He has the final decision. So I think a lot of the football coaching or just the play on the field, or I think that's missing in that equation. But we didn't have that, and we added that. So now I feel like that we are making more responsible decisions when it's coming to your draw.
Yeah.
And even but the main thing as Lions fans, we stayed patient with the winning part of your draw because we were fighting, we were showing signs, but even though we wasn't winning, we stayed the course, as they say. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say I wouldn't say we lucky, and I don't even feel like we've came far, but I don't feel like we have accomplished anything besides winning a division. We still breaking several curses. We still have several curses to break. So I
Right.
don't want to seem like that we didn't. I definitely don't want to sound like we plateaued.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to sound like we reached our apex, but I can definitely say with confidence that we're headed in the right direction, and I'm blessed for they connect with Brad Holmes and um, Dan Campbell's connection because that being that they're so step locked and step, it when I hear a football personnel decision, good, bad, or surprising, I'm not as uncomfortable as I used to be.
Right.
So as me and Nate and Reggie, all of us really, we say let the man cook. So he's cooking, he's cooking so we can he's cooking so we can he had he hasn't messed up yet. You know what I mean? And
Right.
he's not turning scraps into a good meal anymore. We're actually going to the store, getting good ingredients,
Right.
good recipes, making a good dinner. So I just I'm just thankful because we done seen the cupboards bare. If I can keep it in that kind of context,
Yeah.
but I also feel like guys want more. We ain't done yet. Don't want more. We can reflect on how far we went, but don't that we still need to eat. We still greedy, so stay hungry, kind of. But I am. There's no denying that Detroit Lions fan morale is at an all time high, right? So
Yeah.
that's good because we've been in some down times, right?
Hmm. And so let's get to some of the position battles that are happening with our Lions at this moment in time. One of the ones that's gotten a lot of press is the backup quarterback position. We know
Man,
who the we know who the starting quarterback's going to
hey,
be.
hey, I love you, brother. It ain't no battle to me. Yeah,
Hey, so
go
we
on.
know who the starting quarterback's going to be. Clearly, it's going to be Jared Goff. Okay, we already knew that. But it was the question of, will Hendon Hooker overtake Nate Sudfeld? So we got a bunch of people watching right now, by the way. Leave us comments. We greatly would appreciate that if you are watching at the moment.
Yeah,
So
if any of you guys, my Facebook friends, share it and tag me to it, man. I appreciate it.
So let's get to some of these stats, okay? We're going to start off with Nate Sudfeld because he was the guy that came into training camp as the number two. Then he started playing like number two. So here's what we got. First preseason game for Nate Sudfeld, 13 out of 24 for 96 yards and an interception. That was against the Giants. 13 out of 24 means he's completing 54% of his passes. Then against the Chiefs, Nate Sudfeld went 14 out of 27 for 196 yards, one touchdown, and one interception, and he was completing 51% of his passes. Now, before I go on and act like, I had the winning lotto ticket 3 years ago and I didn't tell nobody, okay? Can we just please end the Nate Sudfeld experiment? I mean, because I feel like we've seen enough. Bobby, I know you got opinions. Don't talk about Hendon quite yet because we're going to get there. But as far as the meanest handoff in the league, I mean, are we done with this?
I sure hope so. And the main thing I feel like, dude, how long does it take for the Make a Wish thing to end? Okay, Nate Sudfeld is over, bro. He done got his chance to meet NFL players and be on the team. He got to go, man. The Make a Wish Foundation don't do that for years. You don't get to be on the team for years.
Wow.
Hey, oh my God. I wish his name. I hate dude. I don't like dude so much. It sucked that his name is Nate because all the Nates I know is good guys. You feel me? So he give Nate's a bad name. He give
all the
quarterbacks
all
a
the
bad name.
all the Nates need to gather together at the Nate conference and kick him
Man,
out.
yeah. He got to get his card pulled, as we would say. But yeah,
Wow.
man, it's just I have come to the point where I feel like Hendon Hooker should get a whole game to himself. Now, whether that happens or not, whether the coaches feel that he deserves that, that's another thing. But Nate Sudfeld, because you told me don't go in on Hooker yet, but
Yeah.
I'm sick of him. I'm sick of him. Like I heard Kansas City was starting, they started, so I'm like, yes. I'm like, and then they heard it. Oh, that Sudfeld starting out, man. That just dropped my whole energy. Like, dude, am I even like? I come to ask myself, am I even a Lions fan if he ever is the starter? Him playing it makes me really debate. Do I even want to go through this? Like,
Right.
it's something like it's a real trial or tribulation. It is watching him play. It is horrible. He made one good pass, and I'm listening to it on the radio because I didn't see it though.
Right.
And the kid ran for a touchdown. I said, okay. And then I put in our group chat, Nate Sudfeld made the best play of his life, right?
Right.
So I'm like, even though I'm listening, I'm actually at work, so I can't really like get into it. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then when I come home to watch the tape, this dude threw a 5-yard pass. The dude took it everywhere, took it the
Right.
whole way. So I was I wasn't that even that impressed, but I I just like because I was so pissed. I just cut the damn whole game off and just concentrate on work and said I'm just watching when I get home. Um, no, no more hook, no more Nate Sudfeld. The project is over. It's a fail. I'd rather see David Blau, and I
And
was never a David Blau fan. So
and here's what's crazy to me, Bobby, right? Like I understand because I have coached before, okay? I understand having guys that you really, really like and you really, really, want them to be successful. So you give them as many chances as you possibly can to show
mm-hmm.
what you believe is there. I get it, okay? I'll even give you an example. I'm not going to say the player's name because I don't want to be disrespectful to somebody I
I
used to
say it.
coach.
I say it. Damn it. Okay, go ahead.
But I had, my main focus was offense when I was coaching. And I had a quarterback who came in. He had never played quarterback before, but this is semi-professional football, so you give people a chance, whenever they come out for your team. And January, February, March, April, okay? January, February, March, April, we're doing like classroom stuff. We're learning the playbook because, up here in upstate New York, you can't do anything outside. And at that current point in time, the only thing that we could do was like use a high school gym to be able to do anything.
Walkthroughs kind of stuff.
Exactly. So we're doing a lot of classroom stuff. And in the
My
classroom,
brother, he popped on
Reggie's
in there.
here. Reggie's here. But in the classroom, this player that I was coaching was immaculate. He could tell me where everybody needed to be. Okay. He knew his assignment and, like I said, knew everybody else's assignment. But then when we got to the field, it didn't translate. And this guy went from number one quarterback in my offense to number three real quick. And I feel like with Nate Sudfeld with the Lions, I feel like they see something that they really want to pull out of this guy, but then he gets out there and it doesn't translate. Because like, what's the thing we always hear about him? He can run the offense. He gets us, in and out of plays without penalties. He's got a ginormous arm. Then why
Hey,
is he
hey,
throwing
I don't
5 yard
even
passes?
I don't even remember that part because once they say Nate Sudfeld, I stopped listening. They
But
do say that.
I remember when he first came to the Lions, everybody was excited about his height. They were like, wow, like he's a really tall quarterback. He's got a really good arm. And if you look at the footage of him in college, it's there. I will defend him on that. In college, he had a zip on the ball. It was going places. He was accurate. Like it looked good. Even with the other teams he played for, it looked good. But then he comes to
Yeah.
the Lions and it's like, it ain't there. And for me, that's where I'm like, okay, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. I don't know what he's bringing to the equation, but like, Lord forbid, if he has to play in a game where we need to win, a handoff ain't gonna do it. A 5 yard pass is not gonna do it.
I'm a cry, bro.
I just, and you know what? Maybe it's the offense. Maybe he's just not built for this type of scheme. I don't know. But again, if he's not built for your scheme and he's taking up a roster spot and he's only completing 51% of his passes against other backups, what is
I
he
feel
doing
like
on your team?
I feel like it take him too long to process what he see, man. I
Maybe.
just I
Reggie,
think
before we get to me talking about Hendon Hooker, where I take my victory lap, I
I
do
don't know.
want to.
Don't do that yet.
Hey, you know what though, man? I
Don't do
felt
that
pretty
yet.
validated. I need
I
this
don't
one,
know
Bobby. You
the
know that.
shit,
But
man. I love you, but I ain't gonna let you do it.
Reggie, Nate Sudfeld. Opinions on Nate Sudfeld? Like I said, he seems like a good dude, but like I was reading out to everybody, Reggie, that first preseason game he went 54% of his passes. Second preseason game he went 51%.
The man ain't good enough for me to have an opinion.
Fair enough.
Um, he's got 188 yards passing in his 8-year career.
Right. Bobby's face just now. Bobby's like, no.
Like
Okay.
there's literally nothing for me to really comment on other than he's just a body. And the only reason he's out there is because Hendon Hooker is still just recovering from his injury, trying to get his feet wet. At this
Right.
point now, we know who the number 2 is. There's no way you say, okay, Golf is injured or hurt, and I'm about to bring in Studfield for the rest
I
of the season.
mean,
That's not happening.
yeah, I would sincerely hope not. But let's talk about my guy, Hendon Hooker. I've been on this train for a long time, and I have been waiting for this moment for a long time where I can say, hey, Lions fans, you like your number 2 quarterback? Because I do. First preseason game, goes out there 5 out of 9, leads a good drive down the field. Now we go.
Get his head blew the fuck off.
He did. He ran into a guy, and you know what I mean? He's gonna learn from that, right? But 5 out of 9, that puts him at 55%. He's already better than Nate Sudfeld. But 5 out of 9, I'm not like doing a victory lap about that. What I am impressed by, though, is against the Chiefs, he was 12 out of 15 for 150 yards, and he also contributed a touchdown. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the quarterback that led us down the field to kick that game-winning field goal. I could be mistaken on that, but he completed 80% of his passes against the Chiefs. You know, I like what I see from Hendon Hooker. Now, he's still very much, I would classify him as a rookie because last year he didn't really play that much. But as far as being a rookie, if you will, you know, I think he looks pretty good. I think he's ready to be that number 2 quarterback. And I think we have Teddy Bridgewater to thank a lot for that because Teddy Bridgewater took a personal vested interest in Hendon Hooker and his success. And I also think you got to give Hendon a lot of credit too, because in every single one of those behind the scenes Lions videos, every time that they would show like the team meeting room, in the front row of the meeting room would be Hendon taking notes, making sure that he's hearing everything. So, you know, give him some credit too for what he's been able to do. I agree with Bobby. I would like to see Hendon Hooker given a whole game in the preseason and see what he can do with it. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know, because like it used to be when you got to your final preseason game, the starters would play until the third quarter. But now it's like nobody knows who's playing, when they're playing. But let me take Bobby's thought there, and let me go to Reggie. Reggie, first of all, impressions of Hendon Hooker so far. And then second of all, do you think he should get this full game against the Steelers to show what he can do before he ends up, you know, on the sidelines being the backup quarterback?
I mean, you see all the flashes. You see the flashes in the arms. Of course, you see the flashes with his athleticism. So that part, I mean, that's something for you to write home about. But he does need to start this last game because once again, if Sudfeld is our number 2, we're in trouble. So I need to see that this kid could take whatever pressure comes with that position. I need to see him. He needs to be able to get ramped up to game speed as much as possible, because it's one thing to be running stuff in practice. It's a whole nother thing to see actual guys trying to take your head off. And the preseason game, that's where the preseason games are the best to me, because everybody that's on the field is hungry trying to fight for a position, especially in that third game. So this is going to be the most pressure that he's going to see. Hopefully he doesn't have to see any other pressure this season. Hopefully Golf just makes it through the whole season healthy and we ain't got to worry about it.
Right.
But push come to shove, if something does happen, you know, he needs something that he can reflect on and be able to meditate on, so that if that time does come, he's not blindsided by the moment. So, I mean, and that's the other thing too. We got to keep reminding ourselves, like, it's not like a child stepping into this position. He still is a grown man.
Right.
He's very mature. That's one thing that's been talked about him since college. The only setback, of course, was his injury. But right now, if Campbell trusts him in that position, then I'm gonna trust him in that position. If he doesn't trust him, then once again we're back to having an issue. And I don't know what backup QBs on the waiver wire are worth putting on this team. And if something happened where Goff gets injured, what will be the focus? How will we recover from something like
Is
that?
that Wildcat?
We had to trade for a QB.
Right.
Like,
well, we need to trade for him now because they're gonna have to learn the offense. If that's the case,
they did sign.
Well, actually, I thought about it. Tannehill is actually not a bad backup QB. Like if you gave me a choice between Hooker with no experience, Sudfeld terribleness, and Ryan Tannehill, I will probably pick Tannehill because one, I know he's got plenty of experience. He's actually being able to do something with the ball. He was stuck in a bad Tennessee situation with no real weapons. So being able to step into something like this would be something he's never actually experienced before. A much better team with an offensive line, a running game, and wide receiver. So if I'm nervous about Hooker and Sudfeld, he would be the guy that I would think about.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm not nervous about Hendon. I think Hendon has looked good. I would like to see him play a whole game. I think that'd be really cool to see him get that opportunity. I don't know that that'll happen.
I will tell you where the nervousness crept in at.
Okay, go ahead.
He got his bell rung his first game in, and the type of QB that he is, his natural instinct is to be physical.
Right.
But you're going to be physical with monsters. This is different. This ain't college. You're not playing with a bunch of children. You're playing against grown men that will love to clean your clock. And that's the part that will make me nervous. His inexperience in the NFL, on top of his instinct to be physical, could lead to, okay, yeah, Goff got hurt, and then next thing you know, he got hurt.
True. I mean, I do agree with that. The only thing that I would say on that is that, if anybody caught the interviews after that first preseason game for Hendon, they were asking him, they said, what's the biggest thing that your family and your friends were telling you? They were like, you need to slide. And the fact that he listened, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, if you look at his situation, right? When you have that type of injury that he had, right? You're just sitting there and you're just a big old ball of energy. You want to get out there. You want to play with the rest of the guys, right? And I don't mean to talk about him like he's a kid waiting for recess. I'm just saying, like, he wants to get involved. And so his first game out there, he's like, all right, I'm going to get involved, and I think that first game taught him a lot. And, in the Kansas City game, obviously he was out there for a lot longer and didn't get injured. So, I mean, I feel like maybe he learned his lesson, after that one good time. And now let's see what he does moving forward. But again, I would love to see him start that Steelers game because I don't see any benefit really for Jared Goff to play at all in the preseason. I really just don't see the benefit in that. But let me ask you guys, we'll start with Bobby. Bobby, is there any reason whatsoever to play the starters against the Steelers on Saturday at 1:00?
Yeah, before we get to that, I want to talk about Hendon Hooker.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Because it wasn't all sweet nothings, and I know that's probably why you skipped me. But anyway, make a long story short. Being better than Nate Sudfeld does not do nothing for me. Okay? I just wanted to start that off right. So, and that's part of why I want to see him play a whole game because I feel like it's repetition and game time with him, so I can see more.
Right.
Okay. The fact that he outdid Nate Sudfeld is not a feather in his cap. There are mountains and there are curves. Nate Sudfeld is what I would consider a curve. So he got over the curve.
Right.
So now I would like to see him come into a game knowing that he is going to be the man, going through all the routines as a starting quarterback. With him with, I wouldn't say the number one line, but with some guys that are more than capable of
Right.
protecting him. Watching him, the plays that he do run are not complex. So I want to see him with the ability and time to do more things. But I'm not disappointed, but I'm far from impressed. But I think every play I watch him, he going in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted, because the believe it or not, if everything go our way, this will be his last chance to play this year, right?
Right.
So I think that's the main reason why we need him to play. We need him to play the whole season. I mean, we need him to play the last preseason game.
Right.
So I want to see him pass the ball more. I know he can run. I want to see like more passing from him. It's too elementary what he's doing. I need to see more complex stuff. But to sit here and say that he's not good, we don't even got enough information on that. To sit here and say he ain't ready, not enough information. But I would like to see him get some more time. Because it comes to me personally, it comes down to, would you rather see more of Sudfeld or more of Hendon Hooker? And I would definitely pick the latter. But I haven't seen enough to get impressed yet. Not saying I won't get there, but him being better than Nate Sudfeld, I'm glad he just crossed that hurdle. But hey, brother, you still got a long way to go before I even feel that you worth a number 2 pick. I mean, to be the number 2 quarterback, because Reggie made a good point. You know what I mean?
And you know what? That's fair. You know, that's fair. But if it's my money, give me the Hooker. I'm just saying.
Definitely. But just to be all the way honest with you, brother, I think what I need from Nate, what I need to see from him, the only way I can see it is if he's on the field. To sit here and act, I can't say him being Goff backup is going to be what helps him the most. If that makes sense. He got to get on the field.
That definitely makes sense. I know for me, just to clarify, I'm not trying to say that, you know, he should go ahead and reserve his space in Canton, Ohio. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, you know, there was a lot of talk about Hendon Hooker. From the moment that kid was drafted till now, there has been a certain group of Lions fans who have had nothing but horrible things to say about him. You know, why are we wasting a pick on an injured quarterback? He's too old. You know, he's inaccurate. And it's like, I'm sorry. He's not.
Yeah, just for me, brother.
That's what I'm saying, is that he's competent. He's moving in the right direction. This is legitimately his rookie season, you know?
Yeah. I'm just saying, he didn't win the job yet. Sudfeld sucked. He got put to that job. He got, you know what I mean?
Right.
He didn't win the job.
I get what you're saying, that it wasn't because of his outright awesomeness. It was because, you know, you are the best option of the two. I certainly get that. But I think if he did get more playing time, you know, in this game, I think he would continue to show you. You know, he might throw a couple interceptions, you know, but I think he would show the flashes that everybody else has been talking about. And I will say, it is so weird to me to see a mobile Detroit Lions quarterback, because I've never seen that in my lifetime. And on top of that, it's also weird to see a quarterback wear number 2 in a Lions uniform. I don't know if it feels that way, but like, to me, that just looks weird because I was so used to him being number 12. So now I'm like, no, he's number 2 now. But like I said, I just, you know, I wanted to start with that quarterback battle because that's been the thing that's been talked about in training camp, you know. Transitioning here. third running back. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Craig Reynolds or is it going to be Vaki? Let me go to Reggie first because it feels like people are really feeling Vaki and what he's able to bring to this team.
I definitely love the kid, and especially what you saw out of him in the last game. But knowing this team, knowing Campbell, he is loyal. Craig Reynolds has been here for a few years. He showed up when we've had some injury concerns. And while feel-good stories are good, we're trying to win a championship. So who gives you the best chance of that happening?
Who do you think, though?
To tell you the truth, I would still go Craig Reynolds. Like I said, it's a good story, and I always love to see somebody fighting, putting pressure on anybody that's got a position on the team, because that just shows, the grit and grind that's happening in practice and in training camp, and and that shows you where this coaching staff has got these guys. Like, everybody's giving 110%.
Right.
Now, granted, Campbell did say, they got like 5 or 6 slots left, so it's a possibility that, this is pressure that, Vada can put on for the rest of the season. So, but as of right now, if I had to make a choice, I'm still gonna go Craig Reynolds.
Okay. Personal opinion, then I'll toss it over to Bobby. My opinion on this one, and again, I have not been able to watch as much Lions preseason football as I would like to. I would go with Vaki because he has so much that he can offer as far as diversity when it comes to being able to plug and play him. I mean, let's not forget, this guy was a return specialist at Utah. He played running back when his team needed him. He played safety. I mean, he is literally a Swiss Army knife type guy. And with Craig Reynolds, I do like Craig Reynolds. Please don't misunderstand. I like Craig Reynolds, but I feel like the last 3 seasons, it always comes down to, is Craig Reynolds going to keep his job or not? Like, even in the Hard Knocks, that they did about the Lions, it was, is Craig Reynolds going to keep his job, was one of the main storylines of the show. And that was 3 years ago, And so it's just like, it feels like every year that third running back slot, is a position of interest as far as who's it going to be. And Craig Reynolds, to his credit, has been able to kind of fend off, the competition the last 3 years. But last year, I will say, his main competition was, I believe, Mo Ibrahim. And he went out in the first preseason game with an ankle injury. And so Craig Reynolds didn't really have to fight for that third running back spot. He kind of had it, because the other guy was hurt. And this one, though, it's like they're going neck and neck. And so to me, if I had to figure out, if I only have one roster spot, who do I give it to? I'd give it to Vaki because of his versatility, his diversity, and things like that. But if I had, if they were like, hey, you can cut any other player on the team and you can keep them both, I'd cut Sudfeld. I'd say we're gonna go with 2 quarterbacks and we'll wildcat the rest of the time. But anyway, Craig Reynolds or Vaki, Bobby Bless, what do you got?
I'm going for Craig Reynolds, man. Nothing against Vaki. I don't know how much you into boxing, Elijah, but he hasn't knocked out the champ yet. He's done very well against I'm gonna say subpar competition, and I've seen Craig Reynolds, like Reggie mentioned. I've seen him step up when we didn't have no running backs, beat Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay, and score a touchdown against Tampa Bay in the playoffs when we needed the touchdown on the goal line. If I'm not, it was like on the 1. He went in there when he was supposed to be in there, and went in there and got a touchdown from what am I saying that story right or something like that? He went
I believe
in,
so. I believe you're
yeah,
saying that right.
and it wasn't for him to come in, but he went in there, got the ball, got the touchdown. So nothing against Vaki. I would like to see him. I want to keep him around. I can't sit here and say I don't think he need to be on the team. I don't think we should cut him, but I don't think he should get more clock than Craig Reynolds because
And can I
Craig
interject
Reynolds.
real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
The thing I was thinking about too, if Craig Reynolds ended up playing, like starting, that means we lost Gibbs and Montgomery.
Mhm.
The other flip side to this too, he would be the only running back with actual NFL experience playing running back. Like, Lockley was a safety in college. So you're talking about somebody that he's never really had time or experience as a full-time running back in the NFL.
Right.
So in that situation, in that aspect, my number 3 running back has to be somebody that could fill in if my top
And he
2
could play,
guys
and he could be fullback too. They don't got to put Rodrigo at fullback this year. They can put him there.
And you know what? What Bobby just said is a good point. They could have him at fullback. I just want to give y'all some stats real quick because I look at that, right? So first preseason game against the Giants, all right. Vaki went 4 attempts for 29 yards. Craig Reynolds had 4 attempts for 11 yards. Against the Chiefs, and again, I'm just talking stats here, okay? Vaki had 6 rushes for 22 yards. He also contributed 4 catches for 60 yards. Craig Reynolds against the Chiefs had 1 carry for 5 yards and 1 reception for 3 yards. Now, I'll be honest with you. I did not get a chance to really watch in great detail the Chiefs game. So I don't know how many series Craig Reynolds got out there. Maybe he only got 1 series. I don't know. But if you're looking at just stats wise, right? Vaki has shown up more.
So I got some stats for you too.
Okay.
Last year, 41 carries, 179 yards, 4.4 yard average.
Right.
He also had 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. He also had a return touchdown. So I'm still going to go with the guy with the most experience. He got 36 games as a running back in the NFL. And we've actually seen the guy perform when our guys went down. That's going to hold more weight to me than a preseason game.
Right. I get that.
And with like I said, with Vata, we're talking about somebody that's transitioning from one position to another, and he's trying to make that transition in the NFL. But that means that they're trying to find a spot for him because at safety, we're straight. Now, as a special teams player, as a 4th guy, emergency player, as a that Swiss Army knife type dude, sure, you can have a spot on the team if we got the slot. But if we're talking about my number 3 running back, I just in my right mind, I can't say that that's the guy that I'm going to rely on in that situation. Now, granted, it's an extreme situation for Craig Reynolds to start.
Right.
Like you're talking about, well, I guess it wouldn't be too far-fetched because Gibbs is already dealing with a hamstring injury. So actually he would get some carries right now in relief of Montgomery if Gibbs wasn't to play.
Right. And by the way, Gibbs is expected to be healthy for week 1. But I get what Reggie's saying, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because with hamstrings are always weird. It's something that you could think you're fine, and next thing you know, you're pulling it a couple of times in the season, and next thing you know, you're tearing it. And that's why I'm a little, as a fantasy football player, I'm a little leery.
I get it. I definitely get it. I get it.
But with somebody like that, you like I said, I get the sentiment.
I'm just looking at it like, I understand the loyalty. I understand the fact that he has got more experience playing the position in the NFL. I understand all of that. Those are valid points. I'm just saying, if you're looking at what the NFL is a what have you done for me lately type league, right? What have you done for me lately, Craig Reynolds?
Who are you talking about? The dude that just was a safety turned into a running back, or Craig Reynolds?
I just read you the stats, though.
He
I
scored a
just read you the
touchdown in the
stats.
playoffs. That's what he done for you lately.
But that's last season. That's not this season, though.
Wait, what? Ain't no season started. So where is your lately? You talking about preseason games?
I'm talking about. I'm talking about. You have competition for your job. You have, and Bobby froze on me. He was so excited.
No, you crazy as hell.
There we go. No. I'm not crazy though, because hear me out. Okay, let's say at my job I got Employee of the Month in December, kick butt in December, but then they hire somebody in April the following year, and that person is going after my job, and then I don't really do much. They're not going to be like, well, we can't let you go because you were Employee of the Month in December. No, you haven't done anything right now. And if you're looking at the right now, Vaki is doing more. He's catching more passes. He's running for more yards. It's just, to me, I'm looking at it going either A, Craig Reynolds isn't getting the opportunity, which that could be what it is too. Craig Reynolds isn't getting that many opportunities to do what he does, because they're like, okay, it's going to take a miracle for us to let you go, so we're going to let this guy get more reps. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And I don't want Craig Reynolds not on the team, just to be very clear. I would love to keep both of these guys, but I feel like they're only going to have 3 running backs.
Okay, let me throw this out here, young man.
Go ahead.
Okay, you saying with your job, so I'm gonna say it's all about how you look at it. Being that I work at Walmart, right?
Right.
So, what someone do in December in Christmas season is gonna hold more weight than what someone do on Labor Day weekend. Okay.
Right.
All right.
I did that.
Okay. And you said, "What have you done for me lately?" That's what you said, right?
Right.
And what's the guy name we talking about? Not Greg Reynolds, the other good. I don't want to mess his name up. Vaki. And you talking about what he did in August, but what Craig Reynolds did in the playoffs is last year?
It literally is, though. It is.
Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here.
It's not what have you done for me lately. It's what have you done for me when it mattered.
I'm just saying, though, that was legitimately last season. Like that legitimately was last season.
No.
I'm just saying.
That's not how it worked.
I'm just saying, I would not be shocked if Vaki gets the call over Reynolds, as far as
not only I would be shocked, I would be pissed. That'd be the dumbest shit they done did besides signing Nate Mosley again. That'd be the dumbest shit they done did.
I think if they can keep them both, I will be happy. I think if they can keep them both,
the man scored a touchdown in a playoff game holds no weight with you.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I didn't say it didn't hold weight. I got positive.
So when you said that's last year, that means you can't count it. And that means there is no weight in that, Elijah.
We're not counting anything that anybody else did from last season, are we?
Why ain't we?
I mean, even Dan Campbell said last season is last season.
Fuck Dan Campbell. We talking real life, though. That's coach talk. Coach talk.
If what he said is true, then Hendon Hooker is the starter, and Goff ain't did nothing since last playoff, so it don't matter.
That's a little crazy. That's not what I'm saying.
That's the concept that you're using. That's what I'm saying.
No. That's not the concept that I'm using is. You have a third string running back who has competition.
But you're not counting his resume though.
No.
You said his resume doesn't matter.
Because I'm looking at third string running back versus third string competition in Vaki.
And you think Vaki is outperforming him in the preseason, right?
I mean, he legitimately is. If you look at the stat line, he is. I read it for you. But Craig Reynolds had like 4 carries for 11 yards in the first game. Vaki had 4 carries for 29 yards. And then in the second game, Vaki had 60 yards receiving and like 40 yards rushing, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And Reynolds had 1 carry for 5 yards. That's
So
what I'm
get
saying. And if you look at that, it's like,
so we need to be begging Baki for his services for that. Is that what you're
no,
saying?
I'm not. No, not begging at all. Not begging at all. What I'm saying is that
That
either
doesn't outdo what Craig Reynolds did in the playoffs. That outdoes that.
I won't argue with you on that. Like Baki wasn't there. You know, he was a college football player. He can't. You know, he
Playing
can't score
safety,
touchdowns in the NFL
and
playoffs.
he was playing safety. He wasn't
That's
playing
fair.
running back.
If you
Okay,
want to say that, that's fair. Okay, I'm
I
not gonna
mean,
fight you on that. But my thing is that either Reynolds is not getting the opportunities to put it on tape this preseason, and if he's not, that might be because the coaches like what they see enough where they don't need to see him play in the preseason and they want to see what this other guy can do. Or option B, he is getting the opportunities. He's just not doing anything with it. And this other guy's looking pretty good. That's all I'm saying. I don't see how that's crazy. And
yeah,
like
because I think you hold too much weight than what Baki did in the preseason. I think you think your worth on that is more than me. Your worth.
And that's fair. That's fair. But like in all honesty, like what other weight am I going to put on Baki? He's got no other weight other than the preseason.
He hasn't. What he has done has not. And what he has done has not been impressive. It hasn't been. It's been not bad, I guess. But to sit here and say that he done anything to take the job away from Craig Reynolds is just not. You don't have enough information. You just don't.
And
so
you know
I'm
what?
looking at the article that they have on. This was posted 2 hours ago about practice this week.
Okay.
It says Wright and Reynolds impressed. 2 key players who don't get the attention that others at the position group get are tight end Brock Wright and running back Craig Reynolds. It says both players had strong showings at Tuesday's practice. Reynolds had a strong touchdown run during team drills that went approximately 70 yards, and Wright hauled in a pass. It says both players are projected to be key depth pieces for Detroit's offense. And with Gibbs currently sidelined, Reynolds has been acting as the second running back behind Montgomery with the first team offense.
Okay.
So it kind of shows like Reynolds is what he is, and Vakti is what he is.
Yeah, I'm just
the guy that's on the bubble is going to be Vakti. It ain't Reynolds right now.
and that's where my question comes in: is why wasn't Reynolds getting reps in either of these 2 preseason games? And what you just read makes it sound like he's not getting the reps because they already know what they have in him.
Yeah, because he don't need them.
See what this other guy's going to do. But I am saying, okay, with that being the situation, okay, Reynolds is the known commodity. Let's see what this other guy can do. The other guy's doing pretty good.
So, no, he's making a case to definitely be on the team. I'm not saying that, but as far as him being the number 3 running back, I don't think that's the case that's being made. I think the case has already been made for Reynolds because the coaching staff is saying, hey, you don't need reps. You know, you're a vet at this point. You're 27 years old. You've shown improved already. We already know what we got with you. Now, with this guy that we transitioning from a safety to a running back, this is good showing. So this is somebody, help groom this kid. That's more of a role that I would see him doing than anything. And
that's where I asked, do they keep 4 running backs?
Well, he might not even be counted as a running back.
But that's what they said he is.
He'll be on special teams.
As he is a running back. So do they keep him on the active roster or do they put him on the practice squad? What do you think, Reggie?
He might be on the
practice squad.
He might be
practice squad.
Yeah, that's a bubble guy. So it could go one way or the other. You ever seen the movie? What movie was that? Invincible.
Yeah. Vince Papali.
So you remember when? You had these guys that are on the roster bubble. Like the coaching staff even made a statement. He was like, you bring a guy like Vakti in when you've settled in and you've gotten some wins, you got your feet cemented. Go with the veteran in this situation. Now, in that situation, they went ahead and went with Vakti.
Right.
And it showed to prove that later on in the season. That was just a coach saying, my gut instinct said, go with this guy.
Right.
Campbell is the type of coach that do something like that.
Right.
They talk about roster bubble. They weren't talking about my man's going against the starting running back or third running back or something like that. They was like 56 guys. Who's the other 56 guys that Vaaki is being weighed against?
I don't know. I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, like, you got Gibbs, you got Montgomery, you got Reynolds, and then you got Vaaki. After that, I don't even know who the other guys are. But I'm just saying, my point is, I'm curious to see what happens with Vaaki because he has shown some flashes. He's been one of the more exciting players this preseason. And he's somebody that, Brad Holmes thought enough of to draft. Like, it's not like he was an undrafted pickup. Like, this is somebody that we spent draft capital on to get. So for me, I'm like, okay, I wonder where he's going to end up. But again, I understand where Bobby's coming from. Touchdown in the playoffs, I get that. But I'm just saying for Vaaki, like I said, if you're just going based off stats, which is a dangerous thing to do, because
preseason stats aren't even official. They don't even count.
Right. That's why I said it's a dangerous thing.
So it's almost like he didn't do shit yet.
See, you're just being mean to Vaaki for no reason.
No, man, you coaching in Disney World. You coaching in Disney World. Everybody wins. Everybody get on the team. Shit.
No. Nate
I got something I got to address, fellas. I'll get with you later.
All right, brother. Thanks for coming.
All right, love y'all. Get with you later. Peace.
All right. Nate Sudfeld's got you so mad, Bobby, that you can't even appreciate Vaaki.
No, Elijah. I love you, but your running back mentality thoughts are very, very skewed.
Well, hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Very, very skewed.
I got a feeling that, if Vaaki makes the team and if Vaaki ends up being that third running back, I ain't going to hear from you for a minute. So I'm just saying.
Hey, Elijah, if Vaaki make the team, that means somebody hurt. It ain't because he good.
Okay. Well, hey, let's get to closing remarks, my friend, because it's almost that time. What do you want to leave folks with tonight?
The preseason is nothing.
No,
I feel like
no,
I do. The preseason is nothing. So don't get your heart all in a bunch when you see stuff happen, like good or bad. Just because there's a lot of variables with starters, mentality, and all that. So don't take the real good and don't take the real bad. The thing you wanna look for is who is gonna be backups kind of thing, but don't look for your saviors that play for the Lions in the third preseason game. These guys most likely ain't gonna play a lot, so don't put too much weight in what they do.
Lions at the Steelers, 1:00 looks like Saturday. So we'll see what happens during that game. Hoping to see a lot of Hendon Hooker. Maybe Hendon Hooker handed the ball off.
They should start him. They should start him, man. For real, at least.
Until episode 76, hey, be good to yourself, be good to others in that order. For Bobby Bless, the #1 Lions fan, for Nate Rucker, our resident defensive coordinator, for Reggie Funches, and myself, Elijah Winfrey.